Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash. Double honors to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David, beginning with the 144,000 and the rest of the men, women, and children out of the 12 tribes, whom Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai will ultimately have mercy upon. I'm your brother M.O.T.B from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And this is going to be a update to the M.O.T.B. All right. As we, the watchmen and ambassadors of Yahweh Bashim Shai, it is our job to keep watch and to edify the sheep and to warn you and to sound the alarm. And this comes via way as of July 2025. Australia moves one step closer to the Cashless Society. All right. And this is leading, all right into what the top banking elites are wanting, all right, and the end game, as Aaron Russo stated on the interview with Alex Jones, the end game for the elites is to micro C-hip every last single person here on the planet Earth, all right, which also aligns up with Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 18, and also Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10. Okay, the hour of temptation is coming upon us swiftly and speedily. All right, so let's quickly get into the article. Don't want this to be too long. It says Australia is making significant strides in its transition to a digital economy. Recent developments indicate that the country is edging closer to becoming a cashless society. And also, just a side note, for those of you who don't know, here in Australia, we actually signed the digital ID pack back in April of 2024 last year. So it has been in the making since last year of that ID pack actually being signed. All right. And they stated that by the end of the year 2025, this year, sometime around mid-December or late December, a lot of things is just going to switch over digitally. All right. So that remains to be seen. But continuing on, it says, as reported by Yahoo Finance, major banks in Australia have announced plans to phase out certain cash services. This move aligns with a broader global trend toward digital payments. You see that? Because this is what we're heading now. What you need to understand is Esau, they like to use what's called gradualism. All right. And if we look up that term, gradualism, all right, the meaning, okay, it says a policy of gradual reform rather than sudden change or revolution. All right. So what they do is it's a sequence of steps that is incremented little bit by little bit until it gets to the full transition of something. All right. Rather than just hitting you with the bam, we're just going to shut this down. We're going to implement this. No, they do it in step sequence, if that makes sense. Let's see. Here's another one. It says gradualism, simple definition from the Latin gradus, meaning step, right? Is a hypothesis, a theory, or a tenet assuming that change comes about gradually or that variation is gradual in nature and happens over time as opposed to in large steps. That's why I said what the elites are doing, they're using small steps, increment, little step by step until you pretty much get to the end goal where you've completely taken over, rather than being exposed because you just took one large step and you just changed everything. All right. And that's one of Esau's models. He loves gradualism. Right. So it says the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, one of the nation's largest financial institutions, has decided to stop offering cash withdrawals and deposits at selected branches. This decision affects several locations across the country. Other banks, including ANZ, which is how they pronounce it here, ANZ, and NAB, are following suit with similar reductions in cash handling services. That includes like your ATMs and stuff like that, for those of you who don't know. It says these changes reflect shifting consumer behaviors where digital transactions are increasingly preferred, right? Because, if you, obviously everybody has a cell phone. Now people have Apple Watches, Android watches. All right. So It's convenient for when somebody goes grocery shopping or whatever, rather than quickly taking out their wallet and try to, dig for cash and coinage or whatever. They can simply just tap their watch or tap their phone. All right. So when you have that going on for like almost 10 years now, where people have just been tap and go, tapping and paying. All right. People hardly use their cash. And then what Esau likes to do is he'll use mainstream media to try to put the narrative out there and say, well, a lot of people are just comfortable with the tap and go system. They're just comfortable with the tap and paying, so cash is just merely being phased out because people are so, comfortable with just pulling out their cell phones or their watches, their digital watches, and just tap and go. It's more convenient for them. That's how they try to spin the narrative, right? You can't trust these devils, man. So it says these changes reflect shifting consumer behaviors. All right. Pay attention to the words they're using. Reflect shifting consumer behaviors where digital transactions are increasingly preferred. That's why they're increasingly preferred, because when you come out with this technology, all right, it's really causing people to be lazy, depending on how they use it. It says, now here's the key part that caught me. It says, according to the industry experts, the decline in cash usage has accelerated since the vid-19 pandemic. All right, so we're going to highlight this and we're going to come back to this. All right, because I want to show you something why they said that. It says people have grown accustomed to contactless payment and online banking. We are responding to the way our customers bank, spokesperson from Commonwealth Bank stated. The spokesperson emphasized that the bank is investing heavily in digital infrastructure to meet evolving needs. Critics, however, argue that this shift could disadvantage vulnerable populations. And by vulnerable populations, they're talking about really starting with the elderly, because the elderly is not tech savvy. All right. That's what they really mean out here. There you go. Elderly individuals and those in rural areas may face challenges without cash to cash services. When it talks about those in rural areas, it's talking about the sons of Japhet, which would be the Aborigines out here, because they live in all of your outback areas, your rural areas. They're not equipped on digital services like that. All right. That's what they're referring to. It says government officials have acknowledged these concerns, and they are exploring ways to ensure inclusivity in the digital transition. Salakia. Australia's Reserve Bank has been monitoring the situation closely. It has reported a steady decrease in cash circulation over the past decade. Right. Because once again, gradualism, when you put all of this technology into the forefront and people start getting accustomed to tap and go using their cell phones or their digital watches or whatever, of course, you're going to have a situation where you're going to see a decrease in physical cash being, moved. Of course, that's going to happen, man. So it says in 2022, cash accounted for less than 15% of all payments in the country. This figure is expected to drop further in the coming years. The push towards cashless systems is also driven by advancements in technology. Right. Because keep in mind, by the way, another side note, when you go grocery shopping and you go to the self-checkout, they'll have more self-checkouts that says card payments only rather than multiple payments, which means you can use not only card payments, but you can also use cash, gift cards. You can split payments. I'm starting to see, being out here in this country, when we go grocery shopping, me and my family, I even myself bearing witness to the fact that when you go out to these self-checkouts, you actually see more telco systems that actually implement only the service of using card payments, tap and go, rather than using a multiple rather than using multiple ways of payment, not just using card payment, but you can use cash if you have gift cards, whatever the case may be. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, it goes on to say mobile wallets and cryptocurrency options are gaining popularity. Fintech companies are introducing innovative solutions to facilitate seamless transactions. All right. And you know what that's going to lead to. Facilitate seamless transactions. All right. That's speaks M.O.T.B right there. It says, despite the benefits, security remains a key issue. Cyber threats pose risks to digital payment system. Right. Because look, let's be honest. Anybody who has a working mind, okay? Now I'm trying to be nice here. Anybody who has a working mind, you have to ask yourself, how can these devils on one end of the spectrum push for a digital society? But then how, if you have a working brain, you will have to ask yourself, well, how can you promise security when you keep talking about cyber threats, this, that, and the third, but yet you still want to go completely digital? Because by you going completely digital, how can you gain trust from the population to trust that there's still not going to be any hacks within the system? No, we're going to make sure nothing's going to happen. It's going to be entrusted by your government, man. No. You see how they keep putting out, and they only using the threat of cyber security, right, as a means to forward their agenda even more. But like I said, if you have a working mind, you will have to question, okay, when you guys bring this into fruition, how can we know as the general public, and I'm just speaking in general, how can we know as a general public that you're going to have the whole masses of the people's heart at best interest to protect their earnings and stuff like that, which you're not? We know what time Esau is on. You see what I mean? So you gotta read between the lines, man. These devils are crafty and very cunning, to say the least. So it says banks are enhancing their cybersecurity measures to protect customers. Digital banking offers convenience, but we must prioritize safety. An expert from the Australian Banking Association noted. The association is collaborating with regulators to establish robust frameworks. Internationally, countries like Sweden and China have already made significant progress in going cashless. Australia aims to learn from these examples while addressing unique and local challenges. The government has launched initiatives to promote financial literacy. These programs educate citizens on digital tools and safe online practices. It says retailers are adapting to change as well. Many stores now accept only card or mobile payments. You see, I just spoke about that. You see, because a lot of the telco systems, when you go to self-checkout, it used to be one point in time, every one of those checkouts were all cash accepted. But now you'll get to the self-checkout and you'll have like 8 of them that's only card, accept cards only. And then you'll have only 2 that accept cash. And it wouldn't surprise me here in this country that by the end of the year, every store, every top store, like their top stores out here is Woolworths, Kohl's and stuff. It wouldn't surprise me that they're going to remove all of those machines that accept cash and then completely go digital. It wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, it says this has streamlined operations and reduced handling cost. However, some businesses continue to offer cash options to cater to all customers. The transition has sparked debates in Parliament. Lawmakers are discussing policies to safeguard access to cash for those who need it. Right. But see, this is where they shoot themselves in the foot, because you can you can sit up there and, safeguard this, that, and the third. But remember, the end goal is to have everybody micro C-hipped. That's the end game. So I don't even know why they threw that in there. It don't matter at this point. We know what time Esau is on, man. OK, he know it that he have but a short time. So he has to do everything in his power to implement these changes to set up his enterprise. Right. It says a recent survey revealed mixed public opinions on the matter. While younger generations embrace the change, older demographics express reservations. Economists predict that Australia could become predominantly cashless within the next 5 years. I say lesser than that. 5 years is being too nice. It says this will position the country as a leader in digital finance. Now, why do they say that? Because this country really only holds about 25 to 26 plus million people. It's a very small population compared to Babylon, the Great America. And this is Australia is the guinea pig of all other nations. And why do we say that? Because this is the testing grounds for the NWO. All right. And they showed you that going back in 2020 on what they did here to us in regards to lockdowns. All right. It says investments in infrastructure such as high-speed internet and secure networks are crucial for success. Partnerships between public and private sectors are driving these efforts forward. As the landscape evolves, ongoing monitoring will ensure a balanced approach. The goal is to create an efficient, inclusive financial system for all Australians. Challenges notwithstanding, the momentum toward a cashless future appears unstoppable, and stakeholders remain optimistic about the long-term benefits. So now I ask you to keep this highlighted part within the article, all right, in the back of your mind. Let's read it again. It says, according to industry experts, the decline in cash usage has accelerated since the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, why did I say just keep this in mind? Now, I want to play this video that I had lined up here. And I had this recorded back in December of 2022. All right, so let's check this out. This is fair use, fair use.
My favorite economic forum speaker of all time is this reptile, Klaus Schwab's top advisor, Dr. Yuval Noah Harari. Let's see what he has to say.
Data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it.
So he's talking about hacking humans, obviously, right? But what you're going to see in just a second, as I let it continue on to play, is he's going to show you, all right, the how can I say, for lack of better terms, basically he's going to tell you what event is going to help them to pave the way to set this thing up and to run full steam ahead with it. All right, listen closely.
Hacking organisms and re-engineering life itself? Well, he's not talking about doing that to people, is he?
Now, in the past, many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough, and nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people.
Well, I guess he was talking about doing that to people. All people, to be specific.
And if indeed we succeed in hacking...
Slocky, let me take it. Let me just get to the point. All right, let's bring it back right here. We'll start right here. Slovakia.
Is it?
Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale.
Oh, so you could implement it.
In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste.
You hear that? So now, what crisis is he talking about? All right, let's pay attention. Keep that in mind. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin.
Humans.
You see that? He said 100 years from now, people will look back and realize that the pandemic of 2019 to 2020 was the acceleration of a new regime under surveillance, which he's talking about the regime surveillance under the skin. That's why I have this part highlighted where it says, according to industry experts, the decline in cash usage has accelerated since C-19 pandemic, because that was the moment of chaos that allowed for them to establish, all right, a new, pretty much their global reset. Let's just call it like that. All right. So let's take that back so you can hear it out of his own mouth once again.
Allow a good crisis to go to waste.
People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin.
Human.
There you go. So all you Israelite camps out there, that claim that the M.O.T.B is not physical, you better repent. Surveillance under the skin. How much more clear does it need to get than that? All right. So let's just get two precepts and close out. I didn't want this to be long. All right. Let's go to Revelation 3:10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Right. Because this is everybody is going to be met with the hour of temptation. OK. And that hour of temptation is going into the M.O.T.B, the RFID micro CHIP, which Yuval Harari, the guy you just saw in that video, he names it surveillance under the skin. OK. Surveillance under the skin. That's what it is. And so the hour of temptation, all right, is plain and simple, because you're going to be tempted to take that device that's going to be implanted under your skin in order for you to take part in society, to buy and sell. And if you don't take that implantable device under your skin, you're going to be outskirts from society. It's as simple as that. All right. And so we'll end it off here in Revelation 13:16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma, or a mark, in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that hath the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. And here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. You see? And this is the fate for those who take it. Revelation 14:9. If you decide to, get in bed with this devil, all right, and you decide to take that device underneath your skin, this is Revelation 14:9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of power, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. All right. So that's what's going to happen to you. You're going to be destroyed if you take it. All right. So you have to make sure, all right, that you understand the times that we're in. You have to, build up your faith, pray. All right. Lord's will, you have that hedge of protection if you are a part of the elect. All right. So, yeah, man, this is where we at, man. Just wanted to give an update. All right. On one step closer to the M.O.T.B. So with that, I pray that this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah HaKodash. Double honors once again to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David. And so on to the next Lord's will. Shalom.